All right, if you're a coach or an influencer at the moment who essentially wants to launch their first ever info product, or they want to revamp their current one and potentially launch a high ticket offer, something along those lines, and you're a little bit unsure of how to do it, you don't actually know the step by step sort of way to launch a new info product or a new coaching program, or you're just a little bit, you think it's going to take longer than it actually should if you're taking weeks and weeks to essentially set this up. And this video is for you because I'm going to be showing you exactly the 1 week launch protocol that I've used and my business partner have used to launch all of these clients and get results like this. Vincent Fisher, gross revenue 62,000. We've got Sebastian, 37,000 gross revenue in January. We've got people like Tim, his numbers there. We've got Perry, his numbers there. Hemi, numbers over there. And people like Connor as well, his numbers over here. So we've been doing extremely good for these guys at the moment. If you're wanting to get results like those and you basically want a simple 1 week launch protocol that you can personally use, then this video is for you. I'm going to be showing you exactly the 1 week launch protocol because it shouldn't take longer than a week. I think this gets so overcomplicated. People spend ages. I know people who've spent literally like 6 to 7 months launching a info product just for it to make like $100 in the first week of launch because they took way too long. Like, this shouldn't be complicated, especially if it's your first ever info product launch. You essentially just need to make sure that the audience that you have is responsive to what you're selling. So you need to be making sure that you're creating a good offer that your audience actually wants and just selling it quickly, right? You can build out sort of the stuff later in terms of what you actually, more specific things like actual funnels, etc. But for right now, the 1 week launch protocol is all you really need. So first up, the most important thing that you need to do is market research. So find the person who's the furthest down your current funnel as possible. If you already have a funnel at the moment, let's say you've got, like a really big fan or someone who's just very sort of tapped in with your content at the moment, talk to them and ask them about what they are struggling with at the moment, what their pain points are, what they would want from you as an influencer or a creator if they were your mentor, like if you were their mentor. Things like that, right? Just basically qualifying questions which would give you a better idea of what type of offer you'd want to create. So that's the first step. Do market research. You probably want to do that with about 10 to 15 people on average, just to get like a really good idea and some good data about what your audience actually wants from you. Then next up is the offer creation period. So the offer creation is set the offer up based off the marketing research. I'll set up like the landing page, sales funnel, etc. So the offer creation period is basically just you take everything that you learned from the market research point where you've interviewed 15 people, you've gathered data from 15 people, and you've essentially, identified, okay, my audience is struggling with X, Y, and Z, and they want A, B, C from me. That type of thing, right? So that should give you a really good idea of what the offer is. Let's say you're doing, just like a basic one, like a drop shipping offer, for example, and your audience is struggling with product identification, marketing, and growing their own, like scaling their current products, things like that. And they want specifically from you, they want one-on-one calls, they want coaching, like group Q&A calls, and they want course content about specific things. That's an idea of what you would actually have inside of your offer, of course. Keep in mind, this actual period of offer creation isn't actually insanely important, because once you launch this, you're essentially going to take all of the results from the first people who buy into your program and ask them what they would want or what they would change about the current program. Because if they buy your offer that you've set up, they're obviously the furthest down the funnel at that point. So you'd want to ask them more questions about specific things like offer, what they would want to change, what sort of more help they would want, stuff like that. So that's pretty simple. Offer creation, let's say you have your offer set up. Another big question that I kind of skipped through, but it's very important, is make sure you ask them how much they'd be willing to pay or invest in something like this, as well as if the offer was live and it was everything that they wanted, would they actually buy it right away? Because that'll give you an idea of urgency, like if they actually are ready to buy, and if your audience is an audience that wants to buy things soon, like wants to buy it from you now, or if your audience is an audience that is like a little bit more relaxed. And then in terms of obviously the pricing, that's very important to realize like what to price your offer at. So if everyone's saying 2,500, Don't just think that you can price it at like 5K and get away with it, because no one's going to buy it. Okay, price it accordingly to what people are asking for. So from there, we'd go down to the 5-day content lead up, and sort of that period varies. I think 5 days is probably the bare minimum that you'd want. If you want a really long, like the best possible period to launch this over, it's definitely around the 14-day mark, and it looks something like this. So you'd use the Whisper Teas 14-day IG story launch across 14 days till launch day, and essentially the timeline, like these are obviously the exact stories that you'd use moving across that period. I won't get into that today, but like the basic timeline is the whisper phase. This is when you just start kind of mentioning that you might be dropping something soon, stories like this, basically like how long you've been trading for, I have something massive launching soon, etc. And then the actual launch, like tease phase, that's when you actually start teasing what the product is. At day 5, so that's when you'd start, typing about, I'm going to be dropping a one-on-one cohort. This is, sort of what it is, telling people about the actual product. And then you'd sort of give away more lead magnets to build up trust, do that entire period of like giving away free stuff to your audience to make them more engaged with your content and more likely to reciprocate that value by, buying your product or engaging with your funnel. You do that all the way up until the launch day, and then of course on launch day you'd use your Instagram story to launch this thing. So this is specific for Instagram, and I think Instagram's the best for user interactivity with yourself as the creator. If you're using YouTube primarily, that's fine. I would honestly even just set up an Instagram and start pushing people from your YouTube over to your Instagram, just to make sure you're able to still do this, because it's so important that you engage with your audience across that 14-day period until launch day. Right, so that is 14 days. However, this is a 1-week launch protocol. So this is just like if you want to get it done quickly and efficiently, I would just do this. If you're on a time crunch, just do 5 days and condense the whole period into then. So just, start talking about it, start talking about what the product is, give away a lead magnet, launch it. Pretty simple. From there, we would have a full VSL landing page built out, something like, let's say this, for example. This is a page that we made for one of our clients, Connor, an ATM guy. Pretty simple page, like not really that like pretty looking, but it does the job. It's got testimonials here, like sort of pictures of people who've got their own ATM. We've got like what the actual ATM business is, information about Connor, and then a VSL, which is really, really good here, very high engaging, as well as a catchy title here. From there, people would obviously book a sales call in by clicking this button, going through the type form and opting in to the sales, like 2 sales calls. From there, close as many calls as you want. So if you have like a set cutoff, I'd say only like allow probably 10 to 15 people in the first time, because again, this is just a period. The launch period is just the time when you gather more information from your audience. So you'd allow 10 to 15 people to buy into your product. You'd do really good mentorship for them. You'd get testimonials off them, and you'd also understand more about your offer by asking them questions like, hey, what do you love the most about this product? What do you love the least about this product? What would you change, etc. Right? From that point, close the offer for about, I'd say not a month, say for like 4 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. That's the same. Not a month. Do 2 weeks closing it at once you've hit that quota, and then build out another wait list, refine the offer with the feedback from the buyers, then relaunch it. Pretty simple strategy, right? And then when you relaunch it, you can keep it open for good instead of doing the scarcity. Or if you want to keep the scarcity to increase sales as well, that's one thing you can do. That's completely fine. But in general, that's the 1 week launch protocol. Very simple. I don't know why people take so long to launch these info products, but that's the 1 week launch protocol. Now, if you want myself and my business partner at JNG Marketing to essentially do this for you and implement this 1 week launch protocol for you, we will take care of closing sales, building out landing pages, appointment setting, growing your social media, scaling the business, and all of the hiring and firing process. If you want us to take care of all of that and do this 1 week launch protocol for you, there's a link in the description of this video. Check it out, apply, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.